Our poem this week is called Winter Dark by Lillian Moore. Throughout this poem, Lillian Moore, the poet, uses a form of comparison called metaphor. A metaphor is when a poet or an author makes a comparison but does not use the word like or as. If we look at the first stanza of this poem, I want you to think about what two items are being compared without the use of the words like or as. Winter dark. Winter dark comes early, mixing afternoon and night. Soon there's a comma of a moon. Now, if you think about that stanza for a minute, there are two things being compared using a metaphor. A comma, and the moon. Now, they're being compared because they are similar in the way that they look. They both have this kind of comma-like shape to it. Once a month, the moon looks a little bit like a comma in the sky. So that is one way that the poet is using a metaphor. If we look at the second stanza, we can see that the poet uses another metaphor. See if you can read this stanza and come up with what two things the poet is comparing in this stanza. And each street light along the way puts a period to the end of the day. We have another punctuation mark being used, a period. What is the poet comparing that period to? And each street light along the way puts a period to the end of the day. Poet is comparing a period to a street light. The street light is symbolizing what a period symbolizes. That's the end of something. The period is the end of a sentence. The street light is the end of the day. In the final stanza, the poet writes, "Now a neon sign punctuates the dark with a bright, blinking, breathless exclamation mark." What metaphor is used in this particular stanza, and what two things are being compared? Here we have a neon sign, and the poet even says the neon sign is punctuating, means it's symbolizing, it's putting a mark. It's punctuating the dark with a bright, blinking exclamation mark. So, an exclamation mark is being used to compare to a neon sign. So the neon sign in the dark place is going to blink and flash like something that indicates excitement, or what an exclamation mark would indicate in writing. So this is how the poet Lillian Moore uses metaphor in her poem Winter Dark. She makes comparisons, not using like or as.